Welcome to the show, Karl Perazzo. Born and raised in San Francisco, you've been playing drums since the tender age of 2. By the age of 7, you were performing in bands formed by your parents, and you later played. Well, you've played all sorts of bands and groups. Currently a member of the new Carlos Santana Band, and you've recorded 5 albums, including the Grammy-winning Shaman and the 11-time Grammy-winning Supernatural. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Karl. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do tell us more.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure and an honor to be in the presence of royalty. Uh, so no, I just bring my humbleness and thank you for having me on your show.
Pleasure.
Tell us about your journey.
Oh, the journey started when I was a young lad. I remember being able to do things with my hands that I couldn't explain. And so it's a God's gift when you can kind of speak with your hands before your mouth. And I've been speaking the language of the drum for many years now. I'm still learning. It's still a journey and a spiritual quest of mine to enlighten people about the drum. It's a hidden language, and it's one of the keys to resonance, sound, and vibration.
Mm-hmm. I met a brother from Congo, and I did a record with him. He said, "Do you understand what the Congo is?" I said, "Yeah, it's a beautiful drum, and they use it in several countries." And when it got over to the Latin countries, they took the O off and put an A. He says, "Well, do you know what that's for, though? The drum was originally a phone, a telephone."
That's correct.
He said, "We get up on the mountains and we can tell brothers that the lions was coming in your direction."
Yes.
And
That's
from
correct.
then on, now you got salsa, you got all kind of dances from that one drum,
Oh yeah.
So how did you just fall in love with it?
Well, I think it chose me, and I'm elated to be chosen. You're right. Before the cell phones and before all this other kind of communication, we had the drum.
Yeah.
And the drum was a form of communication, and you could tell that going all the way back to the Congo. And the songs had dances. The drums played to the dance.
Right.
And then the drums after told the stories. Now, in Puerto Rico they still do that. That's how they get their news. With the plena and the bomba, and so one guy used to talk about there was a fire on 23rd Street, and they would do it behind the rhythms, and everyone would just sing, and it was amazing, a form of bringing community together, and it was like the first broadcast system way before CBS, NBC, so Puerto Rico, they still do that. And to this day, and they tell stories of their heritage, their lineage, and current news about, hay fuego en 23, or, Maria se fue para la playa, that Maria went to the beach, and so they still do all that, and the difference is, I got to tell you, is that the cell phone and all that stuff is designed and designed to kind of make us dumb. So we don't have to remember numbers, and we don't have to remember, all this stuff, right? But when you play bomba, plena, rumba, and stuff from Senegal and stuff from the Congo, you have to remember.
I love what you're saying right now, Karl, because you and I come from a time when you had to remember telephone numbers.
Oh yeah, we didn't even have microphones. We would just get up on the stage, no monitors. People, I can't play unless I have 3 mics. Get out of here.
Yeah, man.
Projection, man, projection.
It's so beautiful.
You're gonna tell those guys in the Congo that they need monitors and oh God. Oh, that's hilarious, bro.
Not in a million years. I gotta say this before I bring Tom in. There was a club right behind the Giants baseball stadium, and used to play there on Sunday afternoons. What was the name of that club?
Yeah. Jellies.
Jellies. That was so much fun in the afternoon, right?
Oh yeah, man. Everyone needed that Sunday, man.
Yeah,
You know?
looking forward to it. And people go
Oh yeah,
dance,
yeah.
man.
Oh
And you
yeah,
guys
man.
killing it. I miss those days, man. It's out of this world. Tom?
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about the sorts of people that you've worked with. We've barely touched on any of these people. Sheila E., Prince, Mariah Carey. You've appeared on Soul Train, The Tonight Show, American Bandstand. Did you think way back when you sort of in your parents' band, did you think that it would lead to this, or what's it been like to have this kind of stratospheric rise?
Oh, thank you for that question. I appreciate that. Um, when I was a kid, I truly believe now that I manifested a lot of what's happening in my life. And I used to visualize and see myself on stage, but mostly, I played every album Santana, so I knew all the stuff,
Yeah.
so I was closest to him, but I grew up with uh, Mr. Peter Escovedo and Sheila Escovedo,
Mm.
Peter Michael, Juan, Zena when she was little, and moms, so they were, and Coke and Bobby and
Oh
Phil.
man.
I can't leave it. I can't leave them up that family so long. We won't have time to, But I can tell you this: these are the influences. These are the influencers. Whether it was Cal Jader when I was in the 6th grade playing with Cal,
Yeah.
or meeting Mongo, or meeting Ray Barreto, or meeting Tito Puente when I was a kid and gotten to perform with him. These are shapeshifters.
Yes.
These are the people that were supposed to be in my life and in my journey, right? And
Yeah.
so I was so inspired and so in awe,
Yeah.
you know, to be in their presence. I remember, you know, um, watching guys, man, uh, Peter Escovedo play, man, and I was in awe, man. Carlos Federico, all the local cats,
Mm.
um, even John Santos, and all those guys, Callaways and all, you know, Carlos Federico, and it's important, man, to have those people, Benny Velarde, Willie Colon, in your
Mm.
life, and your mom and dad, because it starts at home, right? You
Right.
know,
Yeah. For
and
sure.
and at the time when we were growing up, it was okay to go outside for 10 hours, and that's where you learned. It's
Mm.
kind of like Hell's Kitchen, you
Yeah.
know. If you did it wrong, then the streets taught you how to do it.
Yeah.
Mike Carabello, all the guys from Santana. When I met Mike Carabello, he has influenced me through records beyond belief, right? And then when I met him, we became brothers and close. You start to realize, oh my, I'm supposed to be here.
Mm.
It's a comfortable place and a welcoming place. It's kind of like having your own church.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Powerful
Hey
stuff.
Tom, look behind him. Those are real
I
great.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? Love it.
I mean, to have those, it's the top of the mark. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Absolutely. I'm blessed to be inundated, surrounded, and immersed by greatness.
Mm.
And these trophies behind me are not me.
Hmm.
They're not. They're everyone that's been in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
see, everybody wants the apple, but nobody wants the tree.
Yeah.
You know, uh, I became the tree. This is my office, which I never come into. I don't come into. This is my wife. She works she works here, and she manages my life in here. I
Yeah.
don't come in here unless it's interviews, and because there's still a lot of work that has to be done.
Yeah.
I don't want to be surrounded and go, yeah, I'm content now.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
been blessed with 9 American Grammys, 3 Latin Grammys. Actually, more with I had a Grammy with some great Mexican artists, Los Tigres del Norte.
Hmm.
There's all kinds of Pacific Mambo Orchestra,
Mm.
Bay Area band, La Mafia out of Texas,
Oh well.
you know, And so I never did have. That's another thing, Scott. I got to tell you, man. I played so many genres of music that I didn't know that percussion ever fits. But it's about willingness, right?
Yeah.
And raising the bar. I think the only band I never played was probably with yours.
Wow. You, I
But
love what you.
I played to the records.
Well, there you go. Oh my! But I love what you said. It's such a wonderful thing that you said because first time I met Ray Charles, right? And
Yeah.
I was about 22 years old, man, and I was living in Canada, and I was so excited to see him. I say, man, you need another singer? I'll do anything, And he said, calm down, young man. He says, I've been in this business for 33 years, and I'm still learning.
Oh yeah.
So that reminded me of what you just said. You always learning still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're constantly learning. You're a student for life, Even when people ask me, if they can have a percussion lesson, I said, yeah, sure, sure. But let me ask you a question. What are you doing for the rest of your life? That's what I tell people when they want to learn an instrument or take a lesson with me.
Yeah.
I tell them, what are you doing the rest of your life?
And what do they say? Crickets.
Crickets, Papa.
Yeah.
Crickets, bro. Because it brings a certain realization. And I was told that. I went to my good friend who's a master bata player, Mr. Mike Spyro.
Okay.
Yeah. I said, you know what, Mike, I'm ready, man. I want to learn how to play bata. I want to take it. I want to go back to Africa and really learn it. And he said, cool, man. That's great. She says, I'm going to ask you a question, man. What are you doing for the rest of your life? And I thought, man, I'm still learning congas, timbales, bongos, drum set, and it put me on, it didn't put me on pause because my ears are so immersed in everything, right? There's music when you walk out the door, right? But it put me on a level of saying, wait a minute, I don't want to cheat this instrument out of an authentic being playing this drum.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I'm sticking to my stuff, and that's my story.
Yeah. Now, do you write music as well?
I write music. Yes, I have many songs out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about
I'm not classically trained. I do everything by ear.
Yeah.
And I hear harmonies. But mostly mine is about energy and nothing I write is complex.
Yeah.
But nothing the rumberos or the Africanos wrote was complex. Mm-hmm. This is where we got all our ba ba be bo be bo ba be bo ba be bo ba. This is where it all came from.
Yeah.
Do you write lyrical content?
I do write lyrics, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about social conscious lyrical content?
When that bridge comes, then I will do it. Social content for me is doing motivational speaking.
Right.
I don't want them to get confused or stuck on what I just played or the melody that I sang. They must hear the words that I speak.
Yeah. I teach social conscious positive lyrical content because people are tired of bad news and we need to get more and more people to write.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, because life ain't all bad. We don't talk about the good stuff. We need to do that more, to encourage people. You don't have to just talk about what hurts you or who deserts you and all that kind of stuff like that. Right. So I teach about positive lyrical content, lyrics that heal, educate, and solve problems. Those kind of lyrics with any kind of melodies, any kind of instruments you want. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can do that. Tom?
You just briefly touched on it there. I like the fact that not only obviously you perform in the various bands that you have done, you also do kind of spread the knowledge that you have with the clinics that you do, where you kind of conduct clinics and share what you've learnt with others. I mean, when did that start? Has that been a constant for you that you wanted to actually give that knowledge out as well, or when did you start doing the kind of the clinics?
Well, you could say that every performance is a clinic.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Because my goal now, I understand, is to inspire. Right now, when I do clinics, and thank you for Latin percussion, they pushed me through that
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
to become more of a messenger on a street level, because after a while you become generals and lieutenants, and we become the
Mm.
hierarchy, but
Yeah.
it's really the soldiers that are fighting the war.
Yes.
It's the soldiers that are in the clubs doing the salsa gigs every week and an occasional recording. When I do clinics, I play for 40 minutes or 30 minutes and I talk for an hour.
Mm.
Hmm.
And I make sure we do answers and questions. But really, it's about planting the seed, right?
Yeah.
When we plant seeds, stuff grows.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
Now Raul and I, when we were doing clinics, every clinic was sold out.
Mm.
We,
Mm.
it was just inspiring, and and, and so the message was already set in place. All we had to do was to inspire the
Hmm.
next inspirers.
Yeah.
So our goal is 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
When I go out
Yeah.
and speak to young people, I say, I'm not going to charge you, but what I teach you, I need you to go teach it to somebody younger than you.
Right. Yeah. Right. I get it,
You
and
know,
that makes sense.
yeah,
That makes sense.
Mm.
yeah,
It's
and
true, because our knowledge is not ours to keep.
no, somebody passed it down to us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Of course.
Well, that's interesting, because and the generation before us, to try to get any information, you know, it was kind of tough, but all you had to have was eyes and ears,
Right.
and they told you everything.
Yeah.
There was nothing like, people talk about uh, Tito Puente. Let's talk about those guys. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Tito Puente. Let's talk about Coke Escovedo, Pete
Oh my God.
Escovedo,
I used to go
and
sing with.
and 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 let's talk about Carlos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
okay, because I'm going to narrow it down. So here it is right here. Um, the one thing that they all got in common is conviction.
Mm.
Their conviction is none other.
Yeah.
Okay, and now it can be done with a lot of roles. It can be done with not a lot of roles. It can be done with flash.
Mm.
But when you talk about Santana, it could be done in one note.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you can touch people's hearts with one note,
Yep.
and then you realize that even one golpe from Puente or Pete or Coke was a million notes.
Wow.
Now you have to have the third eye, and the heart has to listen, because
Yeah.
these are things that make you cry. This is
Yeah.
why people cry when they go to concerts.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
they're not crying because I'm here. No. Then you see all those people crying with Michael Jackson, men, women, little girls, boys, because there's something about that energy
Mm.
that
Yeah.
they want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of people cry in the audience, right?
Oh my God, Purple Rain was on that tour
Oh
alone
wow.
was
Yeah.
what they could have made $1 million on tissue. I don't know why. I didn't know why Prince didn't sell a box of tissue.
Yeah. Oh my God. When I was
Yeah,
in the Commodores and the bass player who wrote Brick House, he
yeah,
said so profound to me. He said, Skyler, if you can't hear a hit song in between either the piano and the vocal or the
yeah,
guitar and the vocal, I don't care how many instruments you put on it, it's not a hit.
yeah, yeah. You know, you know who has that inner ear, but he's quiet about it. Dennis Chambers.
Oh boy.
Watch out, man.
Uh,
He has a certain thing, man, that he can hear the music within the music, and the music yet to be written.
how about that? How about that?
It's the truth. You know it.
Mhm.
Oh no, no, I used to go see him, man. He's a no, these are technicians and these people, like I tell people, it's almost like what you said. What do you
Yeah,
what do you plan to do with your life if you're gonna play music, right?
Yeah.
And I tell people you have to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very well said.
You know,
Very well said. I love it.
once you fall in love with it, then it becomes easier. Because I've been playing professionally since I was 10 years old, and I'll be 69 next month, and there's nothing else I could do. I couldn't go get a regular job because I have no experience.
Right. Me neither, man. It's funny you say that because I always say that it's a blessing and a curse because I can't cook. I can't, there's not much I can do. I tried a day job, but I wasn't good at it because music was way too loud. It was way too loud, man. And there's a feeling, and some of the stuff that you work on, when this hand doing something and this hand, it wants to do something else, and it takes you a week or 24 hours to learn. And once it happens, the door opens. The universe has given you the key. Yeah. That door's open. And once you're in that room, there's 10 other doors.
Oh my God. I love that. Tom?
So true. Well, I just want to know how people can check out what you've done, what you're up to with regards to social media content or any kind of websites that you've got that people can go off and check out what you're doing now and what you're up to.
Oh, thank you for that, Tom. I do have social media. I'm not a big social media guy, but my social media is Instagram, and I do have a Facebook. There's someone else that has a Facebook in my name too. That's not me. I know that my Instagram is at KarlP again, and then ERC as in Perk. Okay. Karl P. Perk. And then they set it up to where my Facebook is attached to that. No worries. But I'm not, my actual first social media is the drum.
Right.
Fair enough, Karl. No worries. What we'll do is I'll get those links and I'll pop them on the description of the video so people can go off and check them out.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Namaste, my brother. Thank you for the privilege of your time.
Yeah. Thanks, thank you. And so thank you for all the music and all the blessings that you gave us. And I know your journey is still on its way, man. Thank you so much. Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all get together, music can save the world. Yeah. Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all come together, music can save the world. There's an urgency facing our humanity. Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.